What is going on, guys? My name is Keith Arrington.
My name is Steve Harlow.
And welcome to another episode of the My Money Muscle podcast, where our mission is to help you improve your financial, physical, and mental health by cutting out all the bullshit and getting real with your problems.
But before we get into today's episode, we have an ask, and that's all we ask is that you do. Holy, it's been a week and I'm struggling this hard already. All we ask is that if you enjoyed the show and you liked what you heard, you learned something, change your perspective, anything at all, that you share the show on our Instagram. We're not going to try and sell you anything. We're not going to put any kind of products in from any sponsored companies or anything at any point in the show. So please just give us a share. Let us know you watched it. Keep the conversation going. And let's get on with today's episode. Today's episode is, Keith,
Money can buy happiness.
money can buy happiness.
100%.
We're going to make the argument.
Yes, dude. Before we get into today's episode, let's talk about the idea of money can buy happiness. And the idea, the thing that everyone has always heard is that money cannot buy you happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And my perspective of this changed when I started to listen to Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi is the owner of Gym Launch. He is 29 years old. He is worth over $400 million. He started out owning different gyms in his local area. He started a bunch of different companies. Now he owns an acquisition company worth up to, I believe it's like $1.2 billion in annual revenue. And yeah, he's worth $400 million freaking dollars. Not only that, he has beautiful hair. Not only that, again, he puts out all of his information out online for absolutely free. He literally says, my name's Alex Hormozi and I have nothing to sell you. And then he just goes into the lesson. Like, he literally has nothing to sell you. And it's so fucking refreshing to see shit like that on YouTube, where he's just there to teach. He has a book. The book is a, not New York Times bestseller, but an Amazon bestseller. And it's 99 cents. 99 cents. And
Dude's doing it right.
Yeah. He ended up selling 400,000 copies. He's like, I'm not even trying to make money off of this. And I somehow made 6 figures off of this thing. And he is the most humble dude. He has an amazing wife, and he is a fucking unit. Like, if I could pick someone to be in a second life, it's Alex motherfucking Hormozi. So, after I've just fanboyed over Alex Hormozi for the last 30 minutes, let's talk about what he explains. So, in one of his episodes, he talks about the idea of money, and his philosophy about money is not to use money in ways that allows you to live a better life. But he uses the idea that money is kind of like oxygen. The more money you have, the more time you have, because you can start to buy back your time if you have a great business idea, etc. So one of the studies that we've taken a look at shows that anything more than $75,000 per year does not significantly affect how happy you are as a human being. All right. So up until that point, you know, you're relatively happy. And the arguments that we're going to make are going to be about saving money, understanding why it is that money actually makes you happy, and the fact that, like, $75,000 does not seem like a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the security of knowing you have money in the bank is going to be something that allows you to be happier long term. Job security is another great thing. But at the end of the day, like, people get fucking bored with doing the same jobs over and over again. And with me becoming an online fitness coach, my money is not secure. Like, I have to grind tooth and nail to be able to create the life that I love. And if I don't grind for it, I could be eating nothing. And if I do grind for it, I could be eating really freaking good. So personal experience from going from having no money to now making somewhere in the range of like $310,000 this past year, I really started out with nothing. Like, before I invested in my first mentor, I remember having $500 in my bank account. I gave him 300 of those dollars. The 500 that was in my bank account, my mom gave me because I ended up moving to Victoria, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay enough to live there for at least a couple of months before she ultimately thought that I was going to move back home. But I fucking bet on myself. I went all completely in. And this last year, yeah, we cleared 310,000. Pretty interesting though. I figured out how much money I actually spent personally. And just to break this down for you, $17.50 is minimum wage in BC. The amount of money you would make by working full-time at $17.50 per hour is somewhere in the range of $38,000 or $40,000. Out of the $310,000 that I have personally spent, not including the things that I've bought, the savings that I have, just like me personally have spent this year, was only $44,000.
Damn.
I spent nothing. Like we made a good amount of money for our first like full January to January year in business. And I spent less money this year on myself than I have any other year ever in my life. It's ridiculous. It's nuts.
That's pretty cool though, honestly. The fact that you can make that much money and still have that kind of like self-control, you know? And I think that goes a long way when it comes to, you know, keeping money and making more money with your money, you know? Because I mean, if you had gone out and you made your $300K and spent, I don't know, you go buy $100,000 car, you go
McLaren.
you go buy a McLaren,
$500,000
yeah,
car.
you go way into debt, or you buy a house and all of a sudden you're paycheck to paycheck again. I mean, what's the point? So it's like the fact that you're setting yourself up obviously for the future, which is massive, which is massive. And I have a similar experience, obviously not quite to a different scale, but I went from essentially going from 30,000, or no, was it 30,000? It would have been, around the 30,000 mark 3 years ago to this year clearing over 120. And that was the combination of work and investments paying off as well. And I can definitely tell you that I have, and most of it's still saved, to be honest. Most of it I'm going to be using for business expenses and for investing still. But I definitely could tell you that when, you know what, we're going to cut this part here because I'm losing my train of thought, and I'm going to back up a little bit because if you were going to go on a rant, just go for it. This part out.
All I was going to say, when it comes to me making more money than I've ever had this year is the habits that you have early in life are going to determine how you spend money when you start to have money. So for example, you hear about a lot of athletes who go fucking broke immediately after getting their first bag. They give their mom $10K, they give their homies $10K, they purchase a nice little chain, they get a car, and now they have no money again. They're living paycheck to paycheck, right? The habits that they had growing up in a, let's say, not great situation. The person that I'm thinking of in particular was King Von. He was on, I don't remember whose podcast, or it was like a Good Morning show, and he said, "What happened when you got your first big check?" He's like, "I made $100,000. I took care of my mom, I took care of my homies, I took care of me, and then I spent all that shit right away." And I'm just like, fuck, like that's so shitty. Because if you don't save for the future, nothing is guaranteed, right? Nothing's fucking guaranteed. Dude, you could have as a rapper, I don't know, your voice could fucking disappear one day. Or like, you could go through some sort of mental illness where like you just can't write anymore. Or people will not, or people in the industry just don't give a fuck about you anymore. Like for example, Lil Pump. Lil Pump was famous for 2 years. That's it. Lil Nas X is the only exception to that because he had Old Town Road, made a fuckload of money from that, moved on with his career, and now he's like a big pop star where he's like had this resurgence. But rap careers, athletic, careers only last for so long. So when you have those habits early on in life where it's like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck because you don't make a lot of money, because you don't make a lot of money, as soon as you do make a lot of money, the habits that you had previously are going to bleed over and you're never going to be able to save.
You're going to get wrecked real quick.
Exactly.
You need to fix your mindset for sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about this. Why do you believe people live paycheck to paycheck?
So in my experience and what I've seen, it's bad debt and it's bad habits. It was what, for me, it comes down to. I know for myself, when I was my most broke and I was that paycheck to paycheck by as close as it could possibly be, I had way more stuff than I could afford. I was stretched out on debt and I had a shitty job, and I was trying so hard to make myself happy through getting this stuff for myself that I stretched myself so thin I couldn't do anything. And then on top of that, it was my habits. I wasn't actually paying attention to what was in my bank account. I was just, everything was on a whim. It's like, whatever, I could go do that. But that's only for when I was buying things that I wanted. And when I had to go get groceries or spend money on myself, I looked at my bank account and I justified not doing it. I always was more willing to spend the money on something that made me happy right now versus something that would make me either healthier or better later. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between what I've learned from before to now is to be willing to invest in myself in the future and invest in things that will pay off in the future and be more delayed gratification. And it's a huge learning process. And I can honestly only say that I've learned probably that only over the past year and a half to 2 years of the 29 years I've been alive. But still, even learning that now, I can see how big of a deal that is and how many people I can see that are just buying things and doing stuff right now when they should be waiting and maybe, enjoying life. You got to enjoy life a little bit. But if you're in a spot where you're having a tough time and you are paycheck to paycheck, you got to assess what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, where your money is going, how much money you have, and you got to be willing to look at the hard truth all the time in order to change where you're at now. That's what it comes down to for me, is the habits and actually taking responsibility for your debt that you're making, the decisions you're making with your money.
People live paycheck to paycheck because they never learned how to do it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
In a fitness business where I teach people how to track macros, for example, that means everything that goes in your mouth, you understand where the energy balance comes from, how many calories things have, what particular like carbs, fats, etc. all do to your body. And you track everything to be able to see like how much weight you can lose or how much muscle you can gain, etc. You track freaking everything. One thing that I've realized is there's always going to be people who oppose a view of yours no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, this view that with macro tracking, I think it's the freest way of eating if you have a particular goal. If you're trying to gain weight, if you're trying to gain muscle, trying to lose weight, macro counting is the key because it is the most non-restrictive way without eliminating pure foods to make it to a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to learn the habits of your own body. It's incredible. All right. It will never promise you some sort of magic like, I don't know, you're a fat burning machine. It's like, no, you get to fucking learn what science is all about. Okay. And there'll always be people who are like, oh, that's way too extreme. I can never do that. Saving money is about understanding where your money goes all the time. Down to the fucking penny. What happens with how much money you spend out at dinners? How much money you spend on rent, all of your utilities, going out, freaking all of your subscriptions. When you understand that, you'll have a much better understanding of how to budget it out for yourself. Why is it, and this is like slightly off topic, but why is it that when we tell people to save money or like create a budget for themselves or like understand where your money is going so that you can save up money because it's this great thing, why is it that that is not seen as extreme and like extremely restrictive because you're trying to figure out where every dollar of yours is going? It's seen as like a universally good thing to know what's happening with your money. But as soon as it comes back down to your health and your macros, everyone starts to demonize it, saying like, oh, like, I don't want to do that. It's like, it's food. Like, I can't do that. Bro, it's the shit that's keeping you alive. The same way that money is. And if people are looking at food in that sense, why is it that everyone is totally okay with saying like, oh, you should keep a budget, it'll really help? And people are like, yeah. The same reason that people don't do that though is because they're not willing to put in the work, right? When it comes to keeping a budget, you're keeping all your receipts. You're going over your financials at the end of every month, right? Maybe if you have a business, you have a bookkeeper, you have an accountant to make sure they do that shit for you. But if you don't do it, you'll never know. And it's very hard to create a savings goal for yourself when you don't know what the fuck your money's doing at the end of the day. So counting macros or saving up for yourself, you need to understand what's happening with the food that's going into your body or the money that you're spending and the money that you're earning so that you have a good idea of what goal is possible for you. You want to lose 50 pounds? Maybe you don't have freaking 50 pounds to lose, right? You want to save $1 million, but you don't know how much money you're making and how much you're spending? Maybe start with a smaller goal. You see what I'm saying? But you only understand that information when you start to track where your money is going or track the food intake that you have and figure it out along the way.
Yep. Damn. Boom. That's, I couldn't have said it any better myself, honestly. These micro details are, and the thing is, you don't have to go in the first day and lay everything out. It's even just becoming aware of what you're doing on a financial level. Just go in if you have a hard time looking at your bank account, every single day, look at your bank account and just look at the first page. Make sure you're looking to see, like, if you were going on, you bought Tim Hortons twice that day, take note of that. And then once you start to get used to that, maybe in day 3, force yourself to then just take accountability and maybe just go through in a day and see where you've been spending. And I guarantee you, you do this one time and you see where you've been spending your money for the first time in an entire month, and you track all your fast food purchases, all your stupid purchases, you're going to be like wanting to hold yourself accountable. You're like, damn.
That's a great challenge right there. Anyone who watches this, okay, here's my challenge. Every day for the next month, at the end of the day, you're going to look at your bank account. Every day. Because then you're going to start to realize and not put into the back of your head that you didn't just spend $30 on that random thing, or $20 at McDonald's. Oh, wow, you've done that 5 times this week. Or like, you know, the 6 things that you bought at Tim Hortons across this past week. You know what I mean? Like, the more you see it in front of your face, you start to be like, like I maybe shouldn't have done that. And I know I'm going to be looking at my bank account later tonight. I don't want to I don't want to know that I'm going through this, but I've solidified to myself, I'm going to look at my bank account. So when you do that, if you look at it every single day for 30 days, for example, I will guarantee you spend less money.
Think about it like this. If you're sweeping something under the rug every single day, it's under the rug. You don't see it. But if you bring that thing out from under the rug and you put it in the center of your room every single day, at some point, you're going to be like, okay, enough is enough. I have to deal with this. I can't stare at it any longer. And that's what this is. This is taking it from under the carpet, putting it in plain sight, and forcing yourself to do something with it. And if you do this, I guarantee you, like Keith said, it will happen. It could happen day 2. It can happen day 30, but it's going to fucking happen regardless. It will 100%. So definitely try this.
Okay. This is an idea. All right. If you're Visa and you're watching this, take note. Ready? Actually, this doesn't help them because they want you to go into overdraft and spend more
definitely.
money.
They do.
Here's the idea. So you're going to get a small micro camera on all of your credit cards, and you unlock it with Face ID. Okay. Just kind of the same way that you can unlock your phone with Face ID.
My tinfoil hat is tingling.
Yeah. And when you scan it like this, there's a mini LCD screen on the credit card, and it comes up with your balance, like how much you're owing versus like your total limit.
Oh, that's scary.
So all you don't even have to look. All you have to do is just take your credit card and go like this, and it pops up, shows you right in your face. This is where you're at, buddy. And then you like, you know what I mean?
I probably wouldn't even bring that thing anywhere.
Honestly, like, and you had to unlock it to be able to make purchases. So you're standing at the McDonald's lineup, you're about to like, you know, purchase food or whatever. You unlock your credit card with your face, and then you see that balance, and you're like, maybe not. It makes you second guess, you know?
It's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, actually.
But credit cards wouldn't do that because they're like, I don't want you to know how much money you're spending.
Because then you're not going to spend more money with us, and then we're not going to get more interest, and then we're not going to get you to get more credit cards and go into more debt.
Yeah, why do you think they give you points for spending money, right? Like my cashback card will give me $100 back after I save 2% on all of my gas, groceries, and something else purchase. I think it's just bills. Gas, groceries, and bills. If I save up for $10,000 worth of bills, it'll give me back 100 like cash dollars credit into my credit card. The reason they give you those incentives and debit cards don't is because debit cards you can't spend, like you're only spending your own money. They're giving you incentives to spend more money on their credit cards so that you pay them back with more interest. That's how banks make their fucking money, right?
That's why like 20% interest rates.
22.5, 22.99 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. For money they're just pulling out of the air anyways. It's nuts. But that's why you got to be careful with debt. And I think maybe in the future we should dedicate an entire episode to debt. But for now, be careful with your credit cards. Stare at them. And like we were talking about this challenge too. If you have a credit card, don't just do it with your bank account. Do it with your credit card as well. Look at your balance. Every time you go into your bank account to look at your bank balance, stare at your credit card balance and look at your damn purchases. Yeah. Every single day for 30 days.
See what the fuck you're doing.
Just start to hold yourself accountable.
Exactly.
Yep.
So let's kind of talk about some smarter ways to save money no matter what income level you're at. I think we've kind of gone over that. Easiest way is to be able to schedule out a budget for yourself, look at your bank balance every single day to see where you're at, and make a good estimated guess on how much you think you can save at the end of the month. One key to this, there's no amount of money that's too small to be able to save if you can do it consistently. The same way that if you're losing weight, there's no amount of weight that is too little that if you're seeing continuous progress is not enough, right? If you're 300 pounds and you only lost a pound this week, great, stay consistent, right? Maybe you could speed it up a little bit quicker, but if it's not feasible for you to do that, 1 pound a week is great. Eventually, you'll get to your goal.
It's still 50 pounds a year.
Exactly. 50 pounds a year, you're 250. Like, it didn't take you fucking a year to get to 300 pounds. It took you many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
So make it take as many years to get back to that place. Same thing with saving money, right? Oh, like I can only really like save up $100 a month. Like, you know, it's not really going to amount to anything. Like, I might as well just spend it. Well, money saved is better than money spent because you can compound interest that shit all the way up until you're, let's say, 30 years old. Let's say you commit to spending or saving $100 a month for, let's say, 10 years. That's 120 months. 120 times 100 is what? 12,000? 12,000? Something like that.
120 times 100, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, $12,000, right? Doesn't seem like much, but compounding interest across 10 years at 7%, it's going to be a lot more money than you originally have had, and you could spend it on a bigger purchase than that $100 you spent on a few drinks out with friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that compounding is huge. I mean, you think about just year after year, 7% on $1,200 or 10%, let's say on a really, really good year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's $120. But then the second year you're at 134, or you're at $1,340, right? And then 7% on that, and then 7% on the next total, the next total, the next total. In 10 years, if you've been still even just doing $100 and you haven't made any changes, which this is probably the most unrealistic thing, but let's just say this as the baseline where you have stuck with a job you're not happy with for 10 years, and the only contribution you can make is $100. Go to like rbc.com or TD or any of the banking websites and just type in that amount on they'll all have an RRSP calculator to see what your compounding interest can be, and just type that in and just see how much your money can do for you, even with that small amount. You'd probably be surprised if you've never done it before.
Absolutely. So as Canadians, let's kind of talk about TFSAs and RRSPs for a second. So to break it down, TFSA stands for tax-free savings account. So it essentially gives you a tax break by putting money into this account up to a given amount, depending on what your total income is. So every single year they update the list, or they update the numbers on how much money you can put into your TFSA. Actually, sorry, RRSP is the one that depends on your total income with the amount. Every single year in your TFSA, the government comes up with an amount that you can then put into your TFSA. Speaking about TFSAs, continued on. The way TFSAs work is you take a portion of your income and you can put it into this TFSA. That is still used as taxable income. So if you made $40,000 this year and you put all $40,000 into your TFSA, you can still be taxed on that $40,000 because you made the $40,000. Any concurrent interest or gains you make by investments within your TFSA. So TFSA is not a investment account. TFSA is a savings account, which you can put money into an investment account from your TFSA. So don't fall into the trap that, oh, I threw it into a TFSA. And then people ask, oh, what'd you do with it? I don't know. It's in my TFSA. No. Don't fucking do that. Figure out what to invest in. If you're a Canadian or if you're anyone, S&P 500 companies, there's different ones. There's different ones depending on the country that you're in with different ticker symbols. Look up something that tracks the S&P 500 because they give the most consistent gains compared to picking individual stocks, which unless you're in like the top 50 or unless you're in the top like 1% of investors, a monkey could pick stocks and just be as successful as you are, like straight up. So in this TFSA, as you continue to compound interest and year after year, you make your TFSA contribution to allow it to grow. All of the money that you end up making within your TFSA, let's say across 10 years. In 10 years, you put in $100,000. But you look in your TFSA and now it's worth $200,000. The gains you made within that account were 100K, 100%. Typically, there is a tax called capital gains tax, and that taxable amount is 50%. So 50% of the money you've made normally would be able to be used as taxable income. That does not mean you are taxed 50% of that money. It means 50% of that money is added into your taxable income. And then
50,000, right?
Yeah. So let's say you still make $40,000 a year. You ended up making $100,000 in this TFSA account across 10 years. You take all that money out, you start to spend it. 50,000 of that additional gets added into your taxable income. So now your taxable income for 2030 is $90,000. All right.
Mhm.
That's how that works. Completely tax-free in the TFSA. There's no taxes associated with it. If you make $100,000 on that, you've already paid taxes putting it into the TFSA. So you're completely good. Anything you make after that, you're fucking golden. This is Canada's way of saying save money, right? Like, it is the greatest thing of all time. Do you want to go over RSP or do you want me to go over it?
I'm actually, okay, so I'm going to say caveat here. I'm a very big fan of crypto, and I don't really pay as much attention to the traditional banking style. So you know what? I'm going to let you take over this part, and when we get to a crypto episode,
I'm your
better
dad.
be ready. Yeah.
So RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. So the way that I explain the TFSA is the money that you put in will be taxed against your taxable income for that year. So if you make $40,000, you put it into your TFSA, assuming that you have enough space, because like I said, the government determines how much more you can put in per year. You're going to be taxed on $40,000 as your income for that year. RRSP is the opposite. So in an RRSP, if you made $40,000 and you decided, the government tells you this is the amount of income that you can put from your actual income this year into this RRSP, you put in, let's say, $40,000, just to make things clear. That comes as money against your income. So if you made $40,000, you put $40,000 into an RRSP. On paper, you have made $0. Okay, nothing. You have made zero, which sounds bad, but it's bad because like when you make, like, let's say $300,000 and you're getting taxed out the ass by making so much money. When you put a bunch of money into your RRSP, yeah, you'll get some tax breaks because it goes against your annual income. But let's say you're trying to save up to buy a house and you own your own business, for example, putting more and more money into your RRSP, you need to be able to show on paper that you make a lot of money. But if you continuously write things off like RRSP contributions, the banks aren't going to loan you money because that money went against your income. All right. So every single year, RRSPs, they give you a certain number based on a percentage of your income that you can put into this account. It is not a tax-free savings account. So the money that you invest in your RRSP into other accounts or into investment opportunities or whatever, like the S&P 500, you can still invest in the S&P 500 in an RRSP. The money that you make after that is now taxed. Okay. So think about it like this. There's money you make. There's an account that you can put it in. You may or may not get taxed between this contribution or then the money that's in that account. From account to you pulling it out, you could possibly get taxed over here. RRSP, you get taxed on the back end when you take it out. TFSA, you get taxed on the front end when you put it in. Okay, so both sides you still get taxed, but there still comes with great benefits. All right. This is much better than putting money into an actual savings account to make investments. Because when you do, you get taxed both ways. It is against your actual income, plus there's capital gains tax on top of that. So it's very hard to make an actual income unless you make a lot of money, but that's why they have limits on how much money you can put into an RRSP or a TFSA. So the best thing that you can do as someone who is a new investor trying to save money is to fill up your TFSA and RRSP before you start a brand new account, so that you get tax breaks from one of those two sides. All right. That's my advice for it. Obviously, you need to make sure that you have a savings goal to be able to hit, to be able to save that money across the time frame of however many years. But TFSA, RRSP, first thing that you should do if you're looking to save higher amounts of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, guys, one thing I want to say here is we're not financial advisors. So take this and go look it up. Go find out what it actually is. Go see if it's actually right for you and look into if it's part of the strategy you want to start doing for yourself financially. Yeah. Because we're obviously going to be missing things that if you talk to a professional, they can tell you exactly why you want to go this path versus this path on an RSP or TFSA based on the situation. Yeah. So definitely go get professional advice, but take what we're saying as like the push to start on that journey. Yeah.
If you're looking to buy a house, RRSP is 100% the way because you get breaks on your first time home buyers through that account, and you don't get taxed on a certain portion because you're using that to purchase a home. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just things that I've learned as I've made more money this year. Like I said, I'm a fitness coach, bro. Like I don't know this shit inside and out. I don't know the tax code. I don't know how much money I could save by buying a Tesla. Like
yeah,
that ain't me. But this is what I understand at a pretty like level.
nice fundamental level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about staying consistent, because I mean that's going to be key. I think we kind of touched on that before with staying consistent and delayed gratification, but realistically, when it comes to, and with RSP, your habits financially, you're looking at your debt, all this stuff has to be something you do regularly, or at least consistently enough where you can keep tabs on it. If you are even little breaks in, or little cracks in the armor, and what I mean by that is, you know, just saying, oh, this whatever to this one, or I'll just do this one time. That mentality is going to spiral and get you out of control real quick. I know, because I've done it. It's still something that once in a while I catch myself doing, and then I have to, like, you know, rein myself in and make sure that I'm not doing it again. But staying consistent, especially when it comes to, if you want to buy a house, you want to get into RSPs, you want to get a tax-free savings account, like, you want these things that are going to set you up and that are either assets, they're productive assets, or they are accounts that can grow what you have. Like, you have to be consistent. If you just throw $100 in an RSP one time, you get $7 the first year. You might get $7.50 the next year. On the third year, you might get $7.80 or $8 in interest. I mean, it's the fact that even saying it's kind of like duh.
It's like the difference between drinking water, Diet Coke, and regular Coke.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, drinking water is better than both. Diet Coke is good and is better than regular Coke because you're saving on the calories. Coke, it's still fine. Like, you can totally still drink it, but it's not the best of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Same things here. Saving no money is worse than saving one time.
Yep.
Right? Saving across like a recurring months is way better than just saving once. Right? But at the end of the day, you have to do what makes the most sense for you. If you can only put down one payment once a year, great. Be consistent with it. You can do like bi-weekly payments of like $100, fucking awesome. That's like better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll say this, there's going to be people who make way more money than you, no matter what.
Always.
But the person who decides to save their money and be set up for later on in life is going to eventually, no matter how, like, you could be making $25 an hour at a job. Another guy could be making $75. $75 guy has horrible spending habits, and you're still making $25 an hour. He's fucking 16-hour days. Like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. He has bad spending habits. Who's going to have more money by the time they're 50 years old, right? Like, obviously, everyone wants to have the, like, right now, but wait till you have a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to thank yourself when you have a family that you've been saving all this money for however long. And eventually, you get up to the beautiful $16 million saved mark, you can pull $100,000 of that money out every single year and never have to touch your original investment. Fucking 16 million sounds like a lot, but if I can save $16 million, I will gladly live on $100K a year for the rest of my life.
Oh, dude, 100K. I mean, like, going back to the study we were talking about at the beginning with the 100,000 mark. Did we touch on that, by the way?
No.
Oh, we didn't.
Oh,
the study, the 75K.
Yeah.
We touched on that. So, like, 100K. I mean, you can do a lot with that.
Yeah.
If it takes, how many years did you say to get to 16 million?
I don't know how many years it would take to get to 16 million, but if you can, you know, find a way tooth and nail to make it to 16 million, like 100K a year. Like, that's the dream. Literally don't have to work another day in your life if you just make $16 million and you're living good. Like, you're living top, you know, fifth of the country in overall income if you make $100,000 a year. Crazy.
You could spend almost $2 million and you still have 90% of your income.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty damn cool thought. But one thing I want to go back to real quick and just to harp on is, like, this is like kind of I'm saying this to myself, I'm saying this to you guys, to everyone. It's like the decisions that we make now affect where we can go and end up in the future. Think about that. Every decision you make on a day-to-day basis, and I'm calling myself out here too, affect where we can end up in the future. If we are always eating McDonald's, if we're always making bad financial decisions, how the hell are we going to get ourselves up the mountain that takes determination, grit, like physical health, mental, like fortitude, discipline if we're always being undisciplined, unhealthy, making bad financial decisions? We're just cutting ourselves and selling ourselves short of the life that we could be living and know we want to live, for the life that feels good in the moment. But 10 years, 20 years down the road, we're going to look back and be like, fuck my life. I have so many regrets. Why didn't I just do this? Why didn't I do this? And you're going to die unhappy with a lot of the decisions that you could have made better.
I love it, dude.
Like,
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a mindset shift here. There's one thing that you can unequivocally never spend enough money on in your life. And it is something that no matter what, I believe, if you have your basic necessities of life filled out, spend money on this as much as you possibly can. All right. It's not saving. It's something that you can use immediately. It happens right fucking now, but you have to put in some work. Think about it like this. If you've ever played a MMO RPG, let's say RuneScape, for example, RuneScape is essentially a game where you go through this like player run world and you like train different skills and you kill people and go on quests, blah, 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 blah. There's a skills bar. There's a skills table, on every single character. So you can train your attack, your strength, your defense, and your magic level, and you get all these different abilities as you continuously train those levels, right? You can start you can start hitting monsters at like higher hit point levels, all this crazy shit. Okay. The more you train a skill in RuneScape, for example, the higher you can start hitting these monsters. The higher you train a skill, the more money you can make like inside of the game. Same thing in fucking real life, right? There is no amount of money out there that you should not spend on learning and understanding how to gain skills and how to gain access to equipment that allow you to continue those skills. The best $300 I've ever fucking made or spent in my life, ever, nothing will ever compare to this, is the $300 of the $500 that I sent to Brian Mark. Because of the fact, without him and without me putting my head down and saying, I'm going to fucking learn everything that this man is telling me to do, I would not be here today. I'd be in Toronto or Kelowna working at a bar or something like that. But now I get to spend the time helping the people that I want to help every single day of my life. And I haven't had a regular job in 2 years because of it, because I went all in on myself and learning, right? Another thing that we want to do is Steven and I have invested in a podcast mentor so that we can take this podcast to the next level. I've invested in different learning services about reels. I've invested in camera equipment, microphone equipment, so that I can take my game to the next level and invest in different skills. Now, maybe you're not starting a business, but maybe you just want to become a better you, right? Maybe this isn't about making more money, but this is about becoming a better, happier version of you. Money can buy happiness. Investing in, yoga classes, investing in going on meditation retreats, investing in learning personal development skills, in personal development books, spending the time to sit down and read and implement the teachings from all of these books, right? It's not all about spending money on going to a fucking sports game or drinking a couple beers with your friends at the bar. You've done that for your whole fucking life. Like, I've done that for my whole fucking life, and I know I need something different, because if I don't train skills and I don't focus on that every fucking day, I'm only going to be making as much money as I make now, and I'm only going to be as happy as I am right now if I don't work to be better at all of the skills that I have. Okay? Oh my God, that's fire.
That was fucking fire. I don't even want to say anything, honestly.
You know what I mean, though?
That's so true.
You can't become happier if you don't work on yourself. And sometimes you have to spend money to be able to work on yourself, or time, or if you want to become better at a certain skill. Like, you can become anything in the world that you want to. I fucking believe that. If I decide tomorrow, Keith, for the next 3 years, I'm going to become one of the best guitar players in fucking, like, the people that I know. I'm going to become the best guitar player I can possibly be in the next 3 years. And I fucking say that, and I mean it, and I invest in teachings, and I train 8 hours a day, and I fucking make it happen. It's going to happen. Like, I truly 110% believe if I say I'm going to do something and I dedicate myself to it, I will become the best. Because if you have the time, if you have the money, and you have the willingness to fucking learn and commit to doing something for a long period of time, you can do anything the fuck in the world. Anything. Anything at all.
Absolutely. But you need to start being able to put yourself in a financial situation where you can actually be able to take the time and do those things for yourself that will make you happy. And by actually getting yourself to a place where you have enough money where you can make those decisions and you're not fully in survival mode, you might not be in the complete abundance mindset yet, but you're not just surviving anymore. You're not just thinking about your next paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking about if you can afford your next meal. Once you're out of that phase of your life, then you can start making bigger and better decisions. And it's a chain reaction, but you've got to start there. And that's why this whole concept of money can buy happiness is not the happiness directly, but it buys you the pathway and the openness and the opportunity to then make decisions for yourself that you can then make yourself happy with. It's not about the money buying happiness directly. It's about the inadvertent path or the inadvertent opportunities that you get because of it.
Mm-hmm. If 3 major things that I'll talk about to just secure that happiness overall, if you have the ability to, and if everyone can make a budget for themselves, they definitely can. 3 things you should focus on. 2 of them of which, or 1 of them of which, if you're a business owner, this makes more sense. Number 1 is a rainy day fund. Save up $5,000 and don't touch that shit unless something goes down. If you know you have $5,000 in the bank, that is bills and living expenses for 2 to 3 months, right? If you have a family, maybe make that a little bit higher. Get in with your partner to make sure that you have expenses for the whole squad laid out. So if you lose your job or like somebody gets injured or someone gets really sick, you don't have to scrounge or go into debt to be able to take care of somebody else. Take it to the next level is save up your personal expenses for a full year. There's nothing more incredible than knowing that if my business ends tomorrow, I can live for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like my personal expenses, for example, are about $2,180 at the current rental situation that I'm at. We're upgrading to an apartment downtown in Victoria, and it's going to definitely be a lot more expensive, but around $2,180. Multiply that by 12. I have that saved in an account. I don't touch it. Like I have to go through the bank and be like, hey, I'm looking to access this money. If I want to touch it, I can't just like move it on my phone. And now it's solidified. I ain't fucking touching that shit unless my business just drops off the face of the earth, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is business expenses saved for at least 3 months, just in case, again, you get sick, you get injured, you have that security. Imagine that. No matter what happens, your business is good, your family is good, your personal expenses are all good for 3 months if you just decide to fuck off and do nothing for whatever happens. If whatever happens, you have that money saved. Imagine how much less stressed you'd feel knowing that you're monetarily secure for at least 3 to 6 months.
100%. And start with like a foundation of getting yourself to a place where you start taking accountability for all your decisions that you're making on a financial basis. Then start to accumulate that to make your 1 month or 2 month fund. Then start to get closer to a year. Once you have a year, at that point, I'm sure your mindset's going to be so different and your financial habits are going to be so different that it probably won't even take you a year to get to maybe starting a business or getting 2 years or whatever you're going to need at that point. It's going to be a snowballing kind of effect. But I think you said it perfectly. Honestly, I couldn't have said it any better myself.
Yeah, it feels so good to like be secure and not worry about money.
It does.
Because then you're at that place of an abundance mindset. You're like, I'm working not out of a place of fear. I'm working out of a place of excitement. And like, I want to see how far I can take this.
100%. It changes everything. I would love to attest to this. Like, this is one of the biggest things that I learned. I went from trying to break through a concrete wall, it felt like every day for years, to the moment I made money and always asking myself, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? It's because I was fighting a battle that wasn't necessarily the one I needed to like actually go and try and fight. It was a battle that I was trying to fight just to get me some money. But that's the mindset that I was stuck in. The moment I put myself in a situation where I had a cushion, I could make decisions, I didn't have to go to work for a while. Then I started to actually ask myself, well, what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to change. And that's when I started to actually feel like I want to get up in the morning. I want to go do this and this and this and this and this. I have my whys all laid out. I have these people I want to go see. It's not just, okay, take number 999 of trying to break through this concrete fucking wall. And it sucks. It's not that anymore. You get to a place where you can enjoy life and do something you really want to do. And that's my biggest lesson from this all is figuring out your why. The thing that you really care about way deep down is so much easier to find once you get to a place where you don't have to think about money and you're out of survival mode. but you cannot get there if you're stuck in it. You can't.
The next thing that we should go over is a little bit about a breakdown. And I understand that everyone has completely different situations when it comes to income level, family situations, who they're taking care of, the place in the world that they live, depending on their rent or particular situation. But let's give a small little example of what could easily be done to be able to save some money throughout the year. So what we have written down here is, let's say, for example, you make about $25 an hour. $25 an hour is $52,000 a year. Let's say your monthly expenses are around $2,000 a month, including rent, which is what mine is, living in Victoria, which is one of the more expensive places, probably like fifth most expensive in Canada.
Oh, right.
Again, I'm living with 3 other roommates though, so that obviously takes it a bit down. Okay, let's say you know what, screw it. Let's say $3K. I'll do quick math here. $3K a month with rent. So after taxes, $52,000 a year becomes around $41,000. $41,000, and let's say your income is, or like the amount of money that you have to spend on yourself is $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year. That is what, $5K that you essentially can be able to put out and save. Obviously, you want to spend some money on food or on, well, that includes what you're spending on yourself. Let's say you want to spend money on going out or an experience or whatever. Let's say you have literally $4K left of that across the time frame of a year. All right. The problem that people run into is they think they don't have enough money to be able to save. And it's because, number one, their income may not be high enough. And number two, their expenses may be too much. And number three is they spend money on stupid shit, right? Yes, it seems like 5K is a very hard place to get to, but take a look at what your monthly expenses are. Is there cheaper ways to be able to bring them down? Do you really need a Hulu, a Netflix, and an Amazon Prime account to be able to watch shows, right? Do you need cable? Honestly, if you have cable, I don't know, like, who the fuck has cable anymore? Do you need a home phone? Like, actually, do you need a home phone? There are so many ways that you can barter and bargain with utility services to be able to get things for way cheaper. My phone bill, for example, I've been able to knock that down by saying, yo, I'm going to go over to Rogers and go with them if you don't give me a deal. There's so many different things that you can do to be able to barter things. You know, shopping at places like Walmart rather than Whole Foods. You know, being okay with going to the dollar store. Like, I go to the dollar store all the time to be able to get shit. I think it's like a fallacy to think that, like, oh, you know, you feel shitty about going to the dollar store. Dude, like, go to the dollar store. It's cheap, whatever. So you can save, let's say, $4,000 across the time frame of a year. All right. With that $4,000, let's say you are able to invest that, save it, etc. In 4 years, you have $16,000 sitting in the bank. Hopefully, across 4 years, you've been able to figure out how to bring down your monthly expenses, how to be able to make more money or use some of that money to invest in higher skills so that you can make more money instead of $25 an hour. You maybe start a side business on the side, etc. Right? Through all of this compounding stuff, not just interest within your savings account, but compounding interest in the skills that you have, the equipment that you have, what you can do with your life and how you make money and bring value to the world, you'll be able to save money if you make the conscious effort to try, right? It all starts with needing to try. Write out a budget, figure out how much money am I making? What am I spending my money on? Holy shit, I'm spending so much money on McDonald's. Maybe we're going to cut that back, and being intentional with your time and going through your financial journey.
100%. 100%. Where are you on the list here?
Just under the basics. So,
oh, that's why. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Money on benefits, financial security, moving into the future. Let's just talk about Tanner. Why don't you talk about? You know what though? Because we covered a lot of this stuff
already. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what though? If your friend Tanner, it sounds like you got a good story about Tanner. So
yeah. So with Tanner, he's a buddy of mine from Victoria. I actually met him at a party in Kelowna before we ended up moving out here, and out of nowhere he said, "Oh yeah, I'm moving to Victoria," and I literally met him a week before I moved here. I'm like, "Hey man, stay at my house. Like, you know, you're looking for a place. Like, you know, come by, chill." And then we became really good friends after that. He's one of those people who's able to very well balance out his life in the sense of he parties, he has fun, like he enjoys the shit that he does. He lived in Kelowna before, so he drank, he partied, he goes to house parties, like he likes having a good time. But he saves his money. He's smart. He's taught me about different savings platforms, Wealthsimple, Questrade, Mint, and he's able to have saved. And I don't want to like name drop or say how much money he saved, but a substantial amount of money for someone who is in university, like very substantial. And it's crazy because people can think that they're a student, they don't have that opportunity, or they don't make enough money at their job. But it's like, if Tanner's able to do it, anyone can freaking do it because he's having fun. He's saving money, right? It's just about starting. Yes, he may have started so many years before you, but the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The next best time is now. You start going along your financial journey, you start saving money. 10 years from now, you is going to thank you about that, right? But yeah, one of the things that he showed me was a budgeting book called Mint. It's an app that you can download on your phone. You can connect all your accounts to it. It shows you in real time how much money you've spent on food, gas, transportation, amenities, utilities, bills, things that are coming up, money that's supposed to be coming in. If there's any discrepancies on paychecks, how much your total net worth is worth. Really, really cool app, especially if you can take a look at that every single morning and you realize like, holy fuck, I lost $6K last night. What? Okay, that won't happen to you, but holy shit, I spent a lot of money last night when I went out. Like, it's right in front of your freaking face. Mint is an awesome app for that. But yeah, let's kind of talk about like what things to not waste money on, and what to kind of do instead.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to not wasting money, let's start with just restaurant meals and eating. I mean, food's a tough one because for a lot of us, like, we eat when we want comfort food, or we eat when we're going with friends, or, we had a long day at work and we just don't really want to spend the time to go and make a meal. But when it comes down to looking at time you've spent to make the meal versus time you have to spend to make that money back you could have saved, weigh that out in your head just for a second. Because if you go in, now think about that in the future. If you go and you spent, let's say twice a week, you go to McDonald's. Love McDonald's. Apparently we're just going to talk about only McDonald's this podcast. But let's say you go twice a week and you spend $15 because you get a Big Mac and you get large fries and you get a Coke and maybe you get like a 6 chicken McNugget on the side or something like that.
Hungry boy.
Yeah, hungry boy. Let's go all out. So you spend $30 a week. That $30, you're not only just spending, I mean, if you got Skip the Dishes, you're spending it on the tip. You're spending it on the Skip the Dishes app as well. So you're spending more than $30 per week. So you're probably spending like $32, $34, $35 a week, right? If you're making a $17 an hour job, you just spent 2 hours of work for 2 meals when it could have taken you less than that one time at work to make 3 meals. If you prepare right, if you've got something, you got a spare moment, you got laundry or something like that in, you chop up stuff, get it prepped for the night, boom, 5 minutes later, you're ready for dinner. That night comes up, boom, 10 minutes, you whip everything into the pans, and boom, you've got dinner, right? So restaurant meals they're difficult, but when you start to check yourself and you start to actually hold yourself accountable for the time you're spending and the money you're spending, it's easy to go overboard with the restaurants. Very, very easy. So got to keep ourselves accountable for that. That's probably one of the worst ones in my opinion, especially if you're at the stage of, I don't have a lot of money yet and I want to make a little more money. It's kind of like almost like a coping mechanism in a way. Buy yourself food every once in a while.
Yeah, just the comfort of it. And
yep.
I think there's like 2 levels of understanding like when you can go out to restaurants. There's, if you're feeding yourself shitty food and like you said, spending money on food out that you could totally have just like made yourself. My least favorite thing is hearing that somebody doesn't have the time to like cook for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, dude, you 100% do. Like,
yep.
I will never say, like, listen to another person say that I don't have the time for something, because if you find that it matters enough, you will always find a way. Regardless of your, I don't know, what you do for a job, or how much money you make or the kids that you have, etc., there's always a way to be able to do a couple of things at once. Take care of your kids and cook and meal prep in the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You work 15-hour or 14-hour days, for 5 days straight. Great. Meal prep on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, oh, I just want something quick and easy. Awesome. Go buy some protein bars. And like I said, meal prep. Meal prep is fucking huge. You don't need to be spending money, especially the money that you don't really even have, on fast food, when you can make way better meals at home for arguably the same amount of time and half of the amount of money.
Oh, 100%. And think about, like, this maybe doesn't apply to everyone, but I can probably say that a large majority of people will go and they'll get McDonald's or they'll go get Burger King, KFC or whatever. And how often do you feel either shitty afterwards or do you feel guilty afterwards? And then how often do you feel great and happy with yourself for making a meal?
Mm-hmm.
Those are huge. The more you do things for yourself rather than to yourself, the happier you're going to be, and the more inclined you're going to want to do it again, because you're going to feel better and you're going to make better decisions in the future. Go with what makes you feel better in the long term. If it's pinning you down, stop freaking doing it.
I'll mention one thing too. I think there's a level at which you can start buying meals, and it's when the hours in the day that you have available to you are worth more than the cost of a meal. So let's say, for example, let's say you're an online fitness coach, okay, and you make $50,000 a month. All right, let's just say it's something like that. You make $50,000 a month, and every hour that you spend on cooking meals for yourself is less time that you can spend on making a sale or making $1,000, right? Let's say you sell a coaching program for $1,000, right? And you're not able to get back to that client or that lead for however long because you have to make food for yourself. At that point, I think it's pretty fair to, number one, be able to meal prep for yourself or get a meal prep service, right? Meal prep for you. I know a lot of people doing that right now who are online coaches in the space because their time is extremely valuable and they're, making a lot of money. So they have to outsource the idea of cooking. You also have to be able to outsource the idea of cleaning. But again, there's levels to this shit and you have to be able to get there. I'm not at that level. I'll be completely honest. Like, yes, I make some good money from doing this, but like, I honestly can't justify spending money on a meal prep service when I know inside I have the time to cook at home.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hard not to do it sometimes though, honestly, because some days you just really want to do it. But I'm telling you, if you go and the times where you really feel like you just don't want to do it and you just want to order McDonald's, challenge yourself to go against that and see how you feel about yourself afterwards. You're gonna feel pretty damn good, almost all the time, even if you're really, really tired.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
other things to go over is nights out. They should be pretty few and far between. If you want to hang out with friends and do shit like that, like, yeah, do something that doesn't cost money.
If you're thinking about this kind of stuff, you're probably not doing too many nights out anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You got your head fairly on straight, or at least you're on the path. So
exactly. Nights out, dude, if you want to hang out with friends, like, you can do something that doesn't put you in a poor financial place. I remember spending like $500 a night at like clubs and shit. I remember a huge hot shot moment. I was delivering pizzas back when I was like 19. It was Michelle Stainton's birthday, and we all go into level, and there's like 15 of us, and I'm like, holy shit, I made like $200 a night in tips. Like, I'm a fucking hot shot the shit of us. Roll up to the bar. We're the first ones in level, and the first thing I say is like, yeah, I'll take 15 tequila shots. I'm just like, yeah, big shot over here. And he's like, yep, that's gonna be $180. I'm like, huh, fuck.
What?
Just so that I could be that guy to show off for all my friends. But yeah, I got tequila shots for everyone.
Oh.
Doesn't have $1 in his fucking bank account. Like, I've literally just been like, have no money in my bank account, and I just spent all of it on that, thinking, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I made $200.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy, dude.
Oh, that's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, the nights out, I mean, or if you, let's say you do go out and you like to go, maybe you spend, that's your one thing, that's your one vice. If you get to a point where like your third drink in is like, that's when you start to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Only have 3 drinks. Start with just start with self-control. Stop yourself after that third drink, because after that third drink, you're spending $200 at the bar for all your friends buying tequila shots at levels.
Yeah, that was dumb of me. We'll kind of rapid fire the last couple of here. Clothes. Sure. Let's be real here. Buying clothes that you don't need, like, yeah, it makes you feel good, but it's the same coping mechanism as like purchasing food that you don't need because like you can just buy it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with clothes. Like, yeah, it's great to have the sickest and newest like Supreme fucking t-shirt, but dude, if you're struggling with money, the last thing that you need to do is buy $400 pairs of sneakers, right? Or Yeezys or like the newest fucking thing. And that leads into the next thing is keeping up with the Joneses.
Don't do it.
Bro, like
Don't do it.
if you don't need a new iPhone because yours works perfectly fine, dude, just keep your iPhone, right? If you use it for a business, like for example, like creating content or something like that, and you see that iPhone 13 is like the greatest camera of all time, yeah, maybe you dish out. But if it's just for vanity to be like, oh, like, I got a new phone, it's fucking awesome, right? If there's nothing wrong with your actual phone, then there's no fucking point in spending that money, honestly. Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses, again, like the newest Xbox or the newest fucking whatever.
Letting
like,
your ego and jealousy drive you.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Who cares?
Just keep your, who gives a shit if your buddy's got a nicer car than you or whatever? Save your money. Think about the future.
Exactly. What do I have? 2008 Honda Civic with the fucking paint peeling off the top. And I promised Aslan that no matter how much money I make over the next 5 years, I will drive that thing into the ground. I could be making $1 million a year, and I will drive my Honda Civic into the ground.
And you know what? I'm gonna call myself out here because I'm saying this. I do have a little bit of a nicer car. I spent the extra money.
Little bit.
Little bit. Okay, I have a 2018 Audi that I bought last August.
Little bit.
I treated myself. And you know what? Looking back, if I could go back now, I would buy it. I in the moment, I was like, you know what? I want to
treat yourself.
I want to treat myself. And you know what? It's a cool car, real nice, comfortable, but it's a stupid amount of money a month for a car. Like, it's not that much money. It's like $800 a month, but still, it's money that I'm looking like, I'm counting all the different cryptos I could be buying. I'm thinking about the future, like $800 a month over a year, over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I'm like, that's a lot of money. And you know what? I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience, it's cool for about a week. And then you're over it. And it's not worth the long-term factors. I mean, I can still afford it, but still, I feel dumb a lot of times when I get in it. So
I feel dumb.
I do. I look back and I'm like, man, why could I learn this lesson like a different way?
Yeah, I was pretty close. I almost bought a Mercedes when I went back to Kelowna, and one of my friends who's a car salesman, I was asking him about vehicles at August, which is like the higher end car place in Kelowna.
August is
yeah. And I'm like, hey man, I'm looking to get a Mercedes. And he's like, okay, like, you know, why do you want it? What's up? I'm like, honestly, I've just like been making a good amount of money this past little bit. Like, my car is fine. I just really want an upgrade. And I'm speaking to a car salesman, so I'm like, oh, he's gonna try to sell me on a car. Great, that's what I want. And he straight up told me, he's like, hey man, like, I don't know if you like really need a car right now. Like, is like a Mercedes really the thing that you want? Like, end game, that's it? And I'm like, no, I'd probably want like a supercar at some point, like a Lambo or a McLaren or something. He's like, well, why buy a car? Like, why buy a car right now to be in like the middle before you get the car that you actually want? Why not just ride out your Civic until you have the money to afford something like that? I'm like, you know what? Thanks, Drexler. I fucking appreciate that.
That's a beauty. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's so true. So he didn't try to sell me on anything. He just kind of put me in my place. So until I can afford something nice or my car dies, I will drive it into the ground. And it's a Civic. So I won't be surprised if that thing makes 400,000 kilometers before it craps out.
I'd say $500,000. I place a bet on it.
Yeah? Man, that's crazy.
I think the Toyotas might be a little bit better, but I think that Civics last quite a while too.
Yeah, I think it came out to be the Motor Trend's most valuable car, like not valuable, best value vehicle of the 2000s.
That sounds about right.
Because of how long it lasts and how cheap the parts are and how easy it is to fix.
You're going to be still driving it in 2030.
2030, I'm going to have like 3 kids and like, all right, everyone, get in the back of my freaking coupe Civic.
There's going to be 2 paint stripes left on either side, and that's it. Yeah. Everything else is going to be peeled off.
I'm going to spray paint McLaren on the side.
Yeah, big 720S badge on it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's go into what you think we can do better. Let's kind of wrap this up because we've been going for quite a while here.
Yeah, I think we've been going for a minute. Yeah, definitely. We've been going for like an hour here. So, like for me personally, what I want to do better is, I'm aware of all my purchases and I know where my money is going, but to actually track it and to have an idea of exactly how much is going, when it's going, to have a predictable budget is something that I need to start implementing. And that goes along like for just like my daily routines and that kind of thing. It's just like across the board is more of just like a structured day-to-day regimen of like finances, my health and all that. I think the biggest thing that I am working on right now is that side, or I guess now it's transitioning, excuse me, to more of a main business. So I'm now working on making sure that money that I spend is for the business, and I'm reining in all my expenses to make sure that I don't eat out. I stick to a diet because I don't want to waste any money, because if I have to make a $10,000 investment, I want to be able to do that and know that I'm still good for months on the back end. I don't have to think about money still, right?
Right.
And so if I'm holding myself accountable to the money I'm spending on a day-to-day basis, I mean, I try not to even go anywhere now because like fuel's so damn expensive.
Yep.
I drive like once every few days. Or if I drive like down the street and back, and it's like I don't want to drive anywhere. I just want to make sure that like I do this and I'm holding myself accountable on a day-to-day basis for what I'm spending, and then everything goes into my business, goes into my money muscle, and goes into growing and living by the my money muscle philosophy. That's the biggest thing that I'm really working on right now.
Fuck yeah. Mine is being real with looking at all of my accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely fall into if I don't see it, it's not happening. Like for example, when I went to Kelowna,
under the rug kind of thing.
Yeah, I spent so much freaking money, not on dumb shit, but I bought a plane ticket, I bought a rental, and I had to like buy stuff for family. I bought my niece like a laptop and shit. And I remember coming back home thinking, I don't even want to fucking know how much I spent.
You're balling out.
I know, but I know that if I did look at how much I spent, then it would really put me in a better place for January to go like, okay, look, you spent this much money. This is how much you're going to have to make to be able to recoup those losses.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to fucking work and let's make this happen. Because sometimes performing, and if you have the ability to have variable income, sometimes taking like a big hit in your income like that, it drives you to be able to work more.
A little bit of pressure doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Like for example, last month I had COVID. I was in New York. I couldn't really work too much. One of our lowest months I've had since I first started online coaching when it came to total revenue. So in February, I am fucking busting ass because I'm like, I will never, ever make only that much money ever again. And we're doing really fucking great. So it makes me super fucking happy. So yeah, being more accountable with looking at my accounts every single week at the very least. I do have a bookkeeper and she does like let me know sometimes if I made a dumb purchase, which I love. Awesome. I love girling for, but yeah, I need to be able to look at it myself. So as a quick recap, let's kind of get this going. Money's contribution to happiness is about security. When you have all of your shit solidified, you have money in the bank, you have money saved, you know that you can potentially grow your income and your expenses are super low. That happiness will come from the fact that you are secure and in a good spot. When you are worrying about money and how much you have in your account, or like how much is going to be leaving, or like, oh fuck, I really hope that, like, if your car breaks down or like you have to spend $1,000 on your car and you're stressed the fuck out about that, you have a money problem. All right. You need to be able to save just in case, so those things don't throw you off your game, right? You need to be able to save so that shit doesn't throw you off your game. Ways to save money, again, if you want to get risky, we haven't talked about this, but real estate, crypto,
Tfsa, RRSP.
That would be more secure ways of saving in my mind.
Right.
NFTs, but I don't even want to do an episode on NFTs because they sound so freaking ridiculous to me.
I'm never gonna go there.
Thank you. Okay, I was like, I don't even know your opinion of that, but
I don't like JPEGs with serial numbers.
Yeah,
that you can copy and paste.
So sick.
Woo. Digital monkey,
Bored ape. So sick. Other ways to save money, again, taking a look at your budget, figuring out what money you can put away per month, setting up recurring times that you can get money put away. Because if you don't, then you're going to go 10 years down the line and still be dealing with the same problems that we're all fucking having.
Yep.
And then the last thing, things to not waste money on, is always going to be excessive amounts of excessive restaurant visits, excessive times you have to keep up with the Joneses, excessive whatever, nights out with friends. Dial it back, make it fit your lifestyle, and make changes to your budget and your savings plan that make the most sense for you. And to cap this all off, I will say this one more time. There is no amount of money that you can spend on yourself if you have all of your basic necessities dialed in that can outperform how much more money you're going to be able to make if you invest in skills. You invest in skills, in your ability to learn, you will make exponentially more money if you're able to utilize those skills in future endeavors. So invest in yourself. That is, invest in yourself and save your fucking money. That's where I'm coming from here.
What he said.
Yeah.
What Keith said. Absolutely. Damn. Well, that's a sick episode, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Before we go, we got to remind you guys about the giveaway.
Let's fucking go. So, like I said, we're doing a $500 giveaway on My Money Muscle Podcast. All you have to do is screenshot your favorite episode, tag us at Mind Money Muscle Podcast on Instagram to let us know that you're tuning in. We're going to select one lucky winner at the end of February. And yeah, hopefully good luck to whoever wins. I need to stop doing that part so fast because like I literally just mumble. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But like I said, thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
Peace, fam.